Well, the Sharks begin an 8-game homestand. It looked good for the first 45 seconds. And then, we'll talk about that and more as we begin another Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Monday night, February 22nd, 2021. The Sharks end up on the wrong side of a 6-2 final to the Minnesota Wild. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every single game. If you want to be part of the show, chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. And, of course, follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, and, of course, our Discord. And find everything at tealtownusa.com. Good evening, everyone. Puck Guy here alongside Mr. Al Martinet.
Hey, dude.
Hey. Oh, man. You know, like I said, the first minute of this game was quite nice. And even the few bits and pieces, or my notes are gone now. That's terrific. Even the few bits and pieces, well, something's got to happen, of course. Just fall apart here. What did you think of that first period early on when frickin' Burnsy with another highlight goal of the year,
I thought Burns set the table right. He had a really great goal starting off with the first 30 seconds. I think you need to reset whatever you're going on with your video settings. Burns has been one of the leaders since EK has been injured for the past 3 games.
Yeah.
One of the things that we like to see more of Burns do is kind of slip out and become more of a forward. And we always joke about him, Burns the forward, but this was legitimately one of the good ways of utilizing Burns' strength.
Yeah, and beautiful flip up of the puck over the defender's stick. Oh, hi, Ducky. Goes over and then, beats Kakinen, and man, all was going well. Beginning of an 8-game homestand, Sharks up 1-0. Things looked really good, and then 2 goals in 11 seconds. Zuccarello gets on the board, at 7:49, and then Kaprizov at 8 minutes. Kaprizov, I mean, what can you say about this kid? This kid is, to me, at least from the West, the front runner for the Calder. Al, are you there? Al, you there, bud? Uh-oh.
I think I might have AOL'd.
Yeah, I think you AOL'd for a moment. But what do you... I was just talking about the 2 goals in 11 seconds. But Kaprizov with his 4th to give the Wild a 2-1 lead. Honestly, I think this guy is the front runner for the Calder, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely been one of the leaders for the Wild. I didn't really see the Wild doing much this season. And the Wild are probably they probably are most likely to sneak into the wild card. And it's all because of him. He's helped solidify that teams in terms of just their lineups, and they've made them more dynamic.
Yeah, and just that little guy, it took them 5 years to get him to join the squad, which is unprecedented, and patience that you can afford, even though Minnesota has struggled for years offensively. So that made it 2-1. There was a slashing penalty, but the powerless play, strikes again on this one. And really, I don't even think they even got into the zone, especially the first unit. So, and then the fight, late in the period, Foligno and Knizhov, that kind of started off with a face-off that Knizhov didn't like things, and then Foligno was like, really, you want to go? You want to go? And they went, and my goodness, 2 rights by Foligno, and
it was practically over afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell there was even blood coming off of the visor and stuff. And Foligno even said, "Hey, he's bleeding. You got to stop. You got to stop." And on Knizhov's part, good for him for wanting to keep going, no matter what. So,
I mean, good on Ferrara for jumping in, but probably not the right weight class to essentially jump into, because he could have seriously injured himself. And I know that we're already kind of injured on defensive linemen right now, or defensemen right now, but he's just trying to spark something right now, and the Sharks are not really doing so well.
No, it was trying to be a spark, and it was worse. I mean, honestly, I think it was worse than, it was kind of like, oh gosh, it's a letdown again. It's like, guys, let's go. You got to have some fire in the belly,
7 times in the month of February we scored first, but I think we've only had 3 held leads.
Yeah, and we've talked numerous times throughout the season about how their inability of holding leads. They eventually come back and win, or they just fall apart, or they lose it in overtime. Thankfully they're pretty good in the shoot. I think they've only lost 1 in the shootout all season, but something's got to give. Something's got to give, because the momentum from the fight and those 2 quick goals in 11 seconds, honestly, it shouldn't have mattered that much going into the second period, but the Sharks let it, And then the first minute, Couture takes in a little iffy of a slashing penalty. Thankfully, Minnesota didn't do anything, but then you give up a goal to Ian Cole, who I don't think had scored since January of last year, which was kind of like, that to me was kind of like the backbreaker, because then Minnesota took over the second period.
I didn't really mind that. It was 3-1 at the time. You could still theoretically come back,
right?
But the goal afterwards, the deflection that Jones just didn't really see, that was essentially the backbreaker.
Yeah, and that was from Foligno completing his Gordie Howe hat trick on that one. Hartman Parise with it. Jones comes out, and he looked dejected and frustrated for sure as that puck went off of Milosh's stick and in, kind of like a slow-mo knuckle puck that Jones didn't have anything to go after. So Dubnyk comes in. Things looked, not too bad. He was making some timely saves to keep them in it. And then, of course, Couture gets his 10th of the season. Apparently, he leads all Honda West Division leaders in goals with 10. Kane and LeBanc on a play that started behind the net, banking a puck off the back of the net that fed to Couture. He puts a, pass Kakinen to, make it a 4-2 game. And you're thinking maybe something is going to happen. And it did, with Nikolai Knizhov taking a double minor for high sticking. And you go, despite that, I thought they had some momentum building up in there, and then they give up the goal late on the power play from Brodin, and that little glimpse, Al, that little glimpse of momentum, and it just went away really quick.
Evander's been playing pretty well the last 3 or 4 games. Couture's been playing pretty well for the last 3 or 4 games. I do want to try to highlight that they've been playing decently. 5 out of the last 8 points. In terms of what they've, in terms of progression, that's pretty good. But still, like the overall effort, um, you have to figure that St. Louis is going to be a playoff team. Minnesota, I've said before, is probably going to be a playoff team. And they just haven't played well. And these all have been kind of stinker efforts against playoff teams.
Yeah. And in an 8-game homestand and in a stretch where you need to get points if you're going to attempt to make a run at the playoffs. With this loss now, you now sit back about 3 points out. We can check the standings in a little while if we really want to, but but that was it. Brodeen was kind of like the nail was already in, but then it was just completely shut down there. So
yeah, as I've said before, like the Sharks have lost 3 games in January where they scored first but lost. Now in the month of February, they've lost 4 games where they scored first and lost. That's 7 points. And I would have to look at the standings, but I believe they're about 6 or 7 points out first.
Yeah. We'll take a look at that in a sec. But third period, nothing really to report there except for Bob Bugner went full Patrick Waugh, pulling the goalie with 5 minutes to go. Then that ends up the best way possible with 3 minutes to go. Hey, kudos to them stopping a goal happening. With 3 minutes to go after you pulled the goalie with 5. But Victor Rask beats Brent Burns to seal it to make it 6-2 on the night. Sharks really couldn't get much sustained pressure in the Minnesota zone, and consider that they show 9 shots on goal in the third period. It didn't look like it. There didn't really look like there was much of a gut punch in there, and looking into chat early on, there were some people starting to wonder if now Bob Bugner is the right man behind the guy. Now, mind you, and one timer I saw you mention this here. Is John Madden with the team yet? And that's the other thing. They don't have their assistant coach yet. That's supposed to run the defense in the penalty kill. He's still having issues trying to get his work visa, for crying out loud, which is unprecedented. That we're almost 2 months, or we're a good month and a week into the season. Not sure how that's even possible.
Yeah, like the special teams have not been a strong suit all year. I think we're 25th or 26th on the penalty kill, which has just been unheard of. Power play, we haven't scored in potentially, I think, maybe 5 weeks. And I think the last goal was against Minnesota. It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been bad. Usually, even if the power play goes dead, you can usually rely on just the defense bailing you out. But structurally, this team is just not working.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who will blame Erik Karlsson on ice. There'll be some that blame him off ice because of the contract. Karlsson didn't play tonight. This team isn't exactly, fire burning. Where are you, Timo Meier? Tomas Hertl, your effort level was questioned so much that you were pulled off the power play later on this evening. And some people are even questioning, why are you line blending too much? Like Michael here saying they changed the lines too much that it makes some players lost. For instance, Ryan Donato. He was playing well with Couture in the bank. That is true, but he hasn't scored a goal now in 10 games, except for his fancy shootout goals.
I'm not going to... Look, we dealt with Pierre DeBoer's line blender, and that seemed to work. I think it's more or less the talent on the forwards is just not there, and that is just more or less the issue. We really only have one solid line, and that is LeBanc, Kane, and Couture. There is no second line.
And the thing is that even they went dark for a while. And
Yeah.
I mean, how many times, Al, were we were praising, Donato? We were praising John Leonard, Dylan Gambrell for a number of times, and you need, it's cliche. And Ted Ramey, if you're watching, forgive me for using this cliche, but your best players need to be your best players, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And it's frustrated. And it's frustrating. You hear about Carlson, Ian saying, for instance, week to week, but maybe Saturday. It's like a groundhog runs their medical staff. Did the groundhog see his shadow? Yes, week to week. And that makes no sense. You're going week to week, but he might be available Saturday against the Blues. Just
He's going to be out till All-Star break, people. We're back to this again.
so next January, because we have no All-Star break.
Oh, well, I guess I can't use that joke.
Yeah, and Denver Doyle even wondering, isn't it pathetic no one protected Knyzhov after that fight? I mean, if he's going to go, he's going to go. Nobody's going to jump in front of him. I don't know. Continuing on with some of your comments here. The Sharks can hang with teams like Vegas and St. Louis, but can't beat the Wild. That's from Anaheim Mike.
I don't know about Vegas, but okay.
Yeah, and fanatical Teal breeder. I miss Owen Nolan. Kills me. Power forwards are a dying breed. Well, you know what? The thing is that Meyer and even for the most part Ertl were guys that were supposed to be that power forward. Not necessarily with the drop in the gloves or such, but and Denver Doyle, you're saying it right. Meyer, Kane, and Hertl are power forwards. They're just not consistent.
And there's still a thing in the league. Calgary has a bunch. Even like McDavid can be at sometimes a power forward, but that guy is athletic as hell. But yeah,
Yep.
There's still a thing. Just Meyer's not that.
We got comments coming from the locker room now from Bog Booner. Obviously, our start was good. We had momentum shifts. Give their goalie credit. He made some saves, and we couldn't find the goal we needed.
Yeah.
We didn't give them a lot of 5-on-5 chances, but it seemed like every chance they had, they buried it. Yeah, and the bounces literally went their way tonight. Along with, we had plenty of chances to get back in this game, but we couldn't seem to find the one that we needed. And that's the problem. You need to.
Yeah, but they've been saying that for the past 5 games. Like they've lost the shots, they lost the faceoffs 4 times for the last 4 games. Like, there's a big trend developing here. So, it's more or less just the forward depth is becoming more of an issue.
Yeah. Continuing on with the chatter here from Deuce's Shoeless. Donato's always been a top 6 caliber guy. Consistency is his issue, which bothers me because he hasn't been inconsistent at all this season from what I've seen, and he's not getting enough chances.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, you try to look for like the bright spots on all of these, and it's just not happening. Ferraro is a beast, but possibly one of the unluckiest guys ever in these last few weeks. Yeah, I mean it's been tough. And you got to wonder what's going on. And just the luck or the PDO, I think, is what I think Drew Weber has said a number of times when I've listened to him. You create your own luck, and it seems like these guys are just not given. It's almost like a questionable of not giving a damn. And if that starts getting into the system, then you're running out. You're getting really concerned here. So
Uh, Again, I think there's enough leadership there where like they've they've lost. They've had five. They've gotten 5 of the last 8 points. It's just when they've played playoff caliber teams, they've just dropped the ball against them. Um, Goaltending, I thought was probably the most consistent thing this year. This is probably Jones's worst game all season. And when you relied on him, when you needed to make a big save, he just hasn't done it.
right.
Um, some of it, yeah, like the deflections and maybe the Ian Cole's goal yeah, that's probably when he probably should have been pulled. But everything else, like he needed to make a big save, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah. And those little saves, the deflections on stop, it doesn't help things either, for sure. We'll get to the wraparound in a little bit. We're seeing 52 of you here, so appreciate you joining us. To get a wraparound, we're going to be asking for 25 likes and a donation. So if you want to make a donation to help support the show and the podcast, hit us up on Venmo at Teal Town USA. We appreciate each and every one of your support, and of course, all the money that goes into that, even a super chat donation here on the Google, will go back to help out the show and such.
Yeah.
Continuing on with some of the comments coming in from the locker room, Couture saying we didn't play to our system. We didn't play tight enough defensively. It's tough to have a lead and give up 2 bang bang. The power play has to be better. Yeah, and
yes.
And coming into tonight, they were 2 for 8 in their last 5 games. They only got 8 chances on the power play. And yes, they got 2, which is good. 25%, not bad. It's better. But then you take an 0 for 3 tonight on the power play, and it just, almost like a tennis game, because you see them go in his zone and then they go right back. They try again and they go right back.
You're looking for a little bit more creative freedom, but at the same time, you're trying to play to your strengths. And even this is a bigger issue when you have EK and Burns. Maybe it frees you up a little bit just to have Burns on the D line. So you have to rely on, maybe you pass to Kane and maybe you have him work it around the boards or something like that. But that always seems to be the issue with having Burns shoot from the point, and that always burns us because the NHL has kind of figured out how to defend against that. I do feel bad for Jones because the playbook, there is a huge playbook on Jones at this point, and it's glove hand side, and everyone's shooting it, and he hasn't figured out how to stop that. So until he's figured that out, he's probably gonna be bought out in the next 2 years, which sucks because he's a good goaltender.
Yeah, and he can be, and that's the most important thing, is that if he's on his game, the Sharks are in good shape. If they can get some decent goal support, they're even in better shape. And that's not happening either. We saw it the other night in St. Louis for Dubnyk, but no dice tonight for Jones and Dubnyk on that one. Couture continues on to saying, we let the game get to us. We're not attacking it. It's a bad habit we have. You're literally nicknamed the Sharks. You should be attacking. I mean, that should be something that comes off. I mean, if you're not going to have a killer instinct, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, and the bigger issue is that we're in February, and it's getting to the crunch time part of it where they have to make a huge run. 6 points back. Playoff teams, sure you're going to break the sand soon, but we kind of know who the top 4 teams are going to be pretty soon. And if the Sharks are going to make a push, it's going to be the next 2 weeks before the trade deadline. And the trade deadline, I believe, is in early April.
Yeah, it's in early April. Right now, you kind of have a 3-way tie between 3rd and 5th with Los Angeles at 19. Colorado at 19, and so is Arizona. Arizona had a big comeback tonight.
Yeah.
I see Jerk in the chat, so hashtag my Yotes. Minnesota's win, they pull within 1 point of those three teams vying for spots 3 and 4. The Sharks are at 16. Yeah. So, Jerk making some comments as well. Donato would be fine if the Sharks had a better third line center than Marleau. I love Marleau, but him being shoehorned into the lineup for this record is fucked.
Yeah. Well, they don't have to worry about.
Uh-oh. I think I lost you again for a moment. We'll go to Landlark saying we need consistency from everyone. The problem isn't upstairs, behind the bench, or on the ice. It's from all of them. And this year should be treated as an experimental year. And that's kind of what Rocket said on the Pucknologist, in the sense that it's kind of like a 56-game preseason for next season. And what do you think?
I'm sorry, I cut out halfway through your question. What was it?
Oh, what Landlark was saying is that we need consistency from everyone. The problem isn't upstairs, behind the bench, or on the ice. It's from all of them. This year should be treated as an experimental year.
I think you'll start to see that after the trade deadline. I think you're going to see a lot of, here's our best talent. Do you want any of these people? Similar to last year, it's probably not going to be as bad as last year, where you saw Dylan get traded, Marleau get traded. Who else got traded? Was that it? Dylan, Marleau, and
Marleau,
Mark Goodrow. Yeah, those are the three. Might be a little bit quiet just because of how the salary cap was expected to grow, but didn't at all. But that's a totally different side topic. But my guess is that after April 12th, after the trade deadline, you'll probably see more people from Barracuda come up, more people that you would think never have a shot come up, and just see what they have.
Mentioning Nolan creates from Amy, Nolan is no freezing. Oh, come on. That's right. Nolan is no freezing. Jerry F saying tonight I was particularly upset at the third period until Boogie pulled the goalie with 5 minutes left. I believe we had just 4 shots on goal.
Yeah.
I
fell asleep in the third, to be frank.
Chris kind of, going the opposite of what I said about making your own luck. You don't create your own luck. You put yourself in position to take advantage of the good luck and withstand the bad luck.
Yeah, my internet's AOLing.
Your internet's AOLing? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll stick with you.
You are the curse of AOL. You have given to me for some reason.
Shut the hell up. Don't you dare. I did not do anything. I have not.
I rescind your curse.
I have not been to Salinas in years, so just take it easy on that, man. Chris also going on. If you pepper the goaltender all night, you may get an unlucky bounce that nothing gets through, but more often than not, you'll get a juicy rebound or a screen. Yeah, and you gotta put pucks on net. Net. Ian saying the last 2 on Jones were awful. Yeah, and that's the tough Jerk, you're on the verge of getting your wish. Cancel the wraparound. We're only at 18 likes. We need 7 more in a donation, so we'll see on there. Deuce is saying, I'm going to keep harping on Veal getting a chance. Our team has no spine and refuses to be physical when that has worked in the past. Veal is a psycho, and let him run crazy on the fourth line where he belongs.
Yeah, I mean, willing to see what it looks like on ice, but in today's NHL, you need 4 scoring lines. I don't know, how much of a scoring threat he is or how he can develop into a scoring threat, but you really do need 4 deep scoring lines, or at least 4 lines that change the pace, and would love to see it if he's more of those players.
Yeah. Jerk weighing in. The problem with the power play is LeBanc, Hurdle, and Couture are all along the board their non-shooting side, meaning Burns is the only shot
Yeah.
option, and he's not going to hit the net every time. And he's never really been that net guy. He's always had somebody in front to deflect it. Yes, paging Joe Pavelski, but that's where they got to get out of their thing here. There's got to be some flow to it and everything. That's what we were all frustrated about when Joe Thornton early on in his tenure with the Sharks. It'd be run around the boards and get the jumbo, and he's going to look for somebody. And it's like they're waiting. We all know what's coming. Come on, you got to kind of change it up a little bit. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
We can go into the Nordics to talk all you want, but we'll be here for another 3 hours.
what? No, we won't.
Mhm.
Minnesota got that one power play goal tonight. Faceoffs were pretty much even. Shots were pretty much even. Kind of just looking at the time on ice here, everybody was practically, even on the forward side. The defense, Clayson got 14 minutes on the night. I mean, and then your big guys were your big guys with the ice time. And Dubnyk played fairly respectable, 12 saves on 13 shots. I would expect him getting the start on Thursday against the Golden Knights. So.
That's probably more of a showcase game just to see if any teams are interested in a backup goalie. But like I said before, it's going to be interesting to see how many trades are actually going to happen across the NHL just because of COVID protocols and all that.
Yeah. Trick saying Al is right. If you watch replays of Jones, his glove hand is regularly a second late on the shot. He also seems to just lazily throw his glove towards the puck. No urgency or aggressiveness. And April 12th is the deadline there. Steve Rector is saying, considering we haven't won 2 games in a row this whole season, I'm not sure how much of a run we have.
I mean,
Gotcha. Anthony Morris, 7 weeks to the trade deadline, but you need to there you are. 7 weeks to the trade deadline. I know. I've been there many times, my friend. But you need to consider any trade to the north will mean teams won't get the players for a couple weeks. So yeah, and that's the other thing is that there's the quarantine if you have to make a move with any of the Canadian teams for them to go. So.
Yep.
And Ian mentioning seriously though with the quarantine rules, I wonder if this trade deadline is going to be all that interesting. Like 14 days is a lot of games this season. Yeah, it could be 6, maybe 7, heck, possibly even 8 if you're going to have to shoehorn games in. Michael Zavorskis asking what happened to Nason. Just hasn't been able to stay in the lineup. I mean, I don't even know if he's really in the doghouse, as Denver Doyle puts it.
No. I'm sure he'll get some time, but probably after April 12th.
Yeah. And thank you, Jarek VL, not Veal. I guess I'm still hungry or something. My apologies. Melnichuk could be our Binnington.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have to play Gloria, but.
Yes, Gloria. We'll just have to find another 80s song. And personally, I would pick Huey Lewis since he's a local guy. If things continue as they are, Jerry F., thank you very much. If things continue as they are, we might be calling them the Shakuda come April. You're on to something. I sense brand marketing ideas there, Jerry F. Appreciate it. AJ checking in. Good to see you, bud. Thing is, even if the Sharks miss this playoffs for the second straight year, I bet Wilson's seat is still nice and comfy. Yeah, it depends on how close he is with Hasso. and who would run the search for a new general manager if that was the case?
It's his son, probably.
And that's how I look at it. Is that he's kind of getting groomed for it a little bit, but
I mean, he just got elected into the Hall of Fame. It did seem like there was a timetable for him to step away from hockey altogether. Did seem like the father was passing down the business to his son. So,
but then we keep hearing that the family's not interested in keeping the team.
Yeah.
Once he retires, or so Jerk saying better does not mean good. Yeah, that's true. They're at 7-8-2 with 16 points. So
yes.
Sharks still have a winning record without EK.
You'd be correct. If you did the math, you'd be correct.
Right. And I know Ian's been being very sarcastic about, guys, it's because we haven't played enough games at home. And Jerk has responded, but Ian, we don't know what this team is yet. Only 3 home games.
Does Pavelski suit up in Teal for those home games? Was that in the contract?
Yeah, I that I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know. Sad. Terrible.
Look, we did have a hard start to the season with that many road games, but this team did play as bad as it did on the road against it really did, and it set it up for a bad start. And even at home, they are not.
Oh boy.
I am AOLing like crazy right now.
You're AOLing like crazy, and we can't even blame a storm for it. I don't know what the heck's going on. Tonight's wraparound is sponsored by Jerry F. However, we have not hit the goal yet of 25 likes, people. So 4 more, or else Jerk will be very, very happy. But John with the super chat donation, thank you very much for that. Al, what is Sharks' record when scoring first in the first minute? For some reason, I think we've lost each game. You might be onto something, John. I think I think they haven't won much
for first minute. I don't know. First period. Yeah. I don't know that either. But what is it? Sharks record first is. Wow, Chris.
Chris saying, what is the Sharks record when scoring first on a full moon in a month that ends in Brewery in the year of our Carlson 2021? Might be good, actually. Oh, gosh. Yes, this is... And Jerk, if the Sharks got to play Tahoe, maybe they wouldn't have had their feelings hurt and they would have won. And of course,
Sharks have scored first 10 times this season.
10 out of what, 17?
Yeah. Yes.
And
they have lost 6 of those leads.
So they're 4-6 when they score first. Wow. What a start. Oh gosh. Yep. I didn't do anything to Al. So.
I blame this on Spectrum. Yep.
Jeez. So we've reached the wrap around. Yes. Sorry, Jerk. We've hit the mark. So, oh Lordy, help us all. It's time for the NHL wraparound.
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
It's wraparound. Let's get to this. The Panthers beat the Stars 3-1. The Panthers 12-3-2. They are on such a great run there. That team has come together with former Sharks coaching candidate Joel Quenneville. Yikes. Blake Hummel, the only goal scorer for Dallas on this night. In the battle of the weather nickname teams, the Hurricanes lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-2. Stamkos gets his ninth. Victor Hedman, Palat, and Killorn get the goals there. But Jesper Fast get 2 goals in a losing cause. The Islanders beat up on Buffalo, who are still at 5-8-2. My God, when are they trading Taylor Hall? 3-2 the final there in that one. Matt Martin even scored tonight. Jesus, really? There's a name you didn't expect on the scoring sheet. Calgary shuts out Toronto, which means Austin Matthews' goal scoring streak ends on this one. 3-0 the final for Calgary. They go to 9-9-1 on the campaign. Monahan, Kachuk, and Bennett, the goal scorers, as Rittich gets the shutout for the Flames. Another surprising one, because both the Blues wore red. They get shut out by the Los Angeles Kings 3-0. LA has now jumped into that 4th spot in the West as Jonathan Quick gets a shutout for the Kings. Vegas, in a rematch of their outdoor slush game, beat the Colorado Nordiques 3-0. Took with 2 goals in that one. The Desert Dogs, Desert Dogs were down 3-0 to the Coyotes, and the Coyotes come back with goals from Dvorak twice, Brassard and Chikrin to beat the Anaheim Ducks 4-3 in this one. The Coyotes are in the chase right now with 19 points. The Ducks sit in the basement. And yes, Deuces, thank you for reminding me. Buffalo scratch Jeff Skinner tonight. That's interesting. After like a second year of his 8-year, like $9 million per contract. So that gets you updated on all the scores in the NHL. I will say that and AJ, thanks for tweeting this out, bud. The Sharks are now 2 for 17 on the power play in February. You mentioned in the chat the Desert Dogs were down 3-0 to Coyotes. Did I say that? Did I say down 3-0 to Coyotes? Ducks, Desert Dogs, Ducks, Desert Dogs. We'll fix it in post for sure. As for the Barracuda, I know they have a game coming up. In fact, I believe it's coming up on the 25th. I thought they had one earlier than that, but they have a game on the 25th. That'll be at Solar for America Ice in San Jose. So that's your next game for the Barracuda, taking on Bakersfield on that one. Yes. Yeah, and AJ, you're right. Calder winning Jeff Skinner. Hashtag Couture was robbed. Yeah. So, set us up for Thursday. Al, give us some good news as we get ready to play the Vegas Golden Knights.
It's at home? Question mark? No, I'm just kidding. Return Peter DeBoer, should be an interesting matchup. Devin Dubnyk should be a net.
Yeah.
So I think just going with low expectations because Vegas is obviously stacked. I'm just gonna tell you, just go in with low expectations. But I think if you're looking for a start of something, this is probably the game to do it. Because the Sharks obviously know Vegas top to bottom. They've had many good playoff rounds against them. But this is probably the next week or two is going to either sink or keep the season alive, essentially.
No, and you need to show up for those big games, and Vegas is a big game for sure. Yesterday was the 6th anniversary of the outdoor game at Levi's. Of course, the 41st anniversary of the Miracle on Ice. was tonight as the U.S. beats the Soviet Union in a classic game there. And
Do you believe in miracles?
that's what we should probably be saying on Thursday. And hey, you know what? For Thursday, you know what, folks? If there's anything to get excited about on Thursday,
Oh no.
it's
Thank
that
God.
we can actually rock these unis one more time, and hopefully we'll win a game in them. Ooh, look at that beauty! Look at that beauty! I mean, come on.
I was really hoping there was more clothing underneath that jersey. Thank God I was right.
Shut up, Al. I can hear you. Oh, yes, Landlark. Yes. And last year, the Leafs lost to a 42-year-old Zamboni driver who works for the... I mean, these last 2 days, what a memorable part, you know? Come on. So that will do it for us. I think I've already messed up on names during the wraparound enough that you're gonna be like, the Desert Dogs lost to the Coyotes. Yeah, that's great. Way to go, Erik. Way to screw that one up. And apparently I gave my AOL connection to Al for some odd reason. So with that, Al, thank you. Appreciate it as always, bud. Your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at @almartinet. Final thoughts. Just as a rough game. This is an opponent the Sharks should at least stack up nicely against, but this was one of the worst performances Jones has done this season, and I think next game for Devin Dubnyk, you can possibly see him taking the starter spot.
And maybe even build up his trade value at the trade deadline. That might be interesting to see how that goes. Be on the lookout for that one on Thursday. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. I noticed that the live chat has completely stopped ever since I took off the stadium jersey for the Heritage jersey. So we'll be back with you Thursday following Sharks and Golden Knights. That is a 7:30 puck drop. Rocking the original threads made into the Adidas template. We'll call it that. So in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, please. SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and of course always available at tealtownusa.com. So that'll do it for us. See you Thursday following Sharks and Golden Knights. You have a great night and keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you Thursday.